Well, that's what we're talking about this morning. What do the candidates have for you? You have heard from the candidate of the APC who flagged off his rally yesterday in Jos. Well, the clip we played you there wasn't from Jos. It was from an earlier engagement which he had with the business community in Lagos. But that of the former Vice President Atiku Abubakar was at a party that happened yesterday in Lagos, and all of them have been sharing their plans for Nigerians, if what they will do if and when elected. So let's interrogate some of those plans a little more, because I'm sure that you want to hear from them. This morning we have with us two gentlemen. Dr. Onoha Nachi is a member of the PDP Presidential Campaign Council. He's a financial expert, and he's joining us via Zoom. Good morning, Mr. Nachi. Can you hear us? Okay, I do not know if he's online just yet. But right here in our Abuja studios, we have with us Mr. Ali Mohammed Ali, who is the Deputy Director, Media and Publicity of the APC Presidential Campaign Council. You're welcome to Sunrise City this morning.
Good morning, viewers. It's good to be here, Mope. Finally, I'm having the pleasure of meeting you.
It's good to see you too. Welcome.
Yeah, thank you.
Well, yesterday you finally flagged off your campaign, your presidential campaign rally in Jos, the Plateau State capital. I was just a little curious. Is there a reason why Jos was chosen, apart from the fact that that's the state of the Director General of the campaigns?
Well, thank you very much for that question. A lot of people have wondered why settle on Jos. Why pick Jos? Well, for a number of reasons. Jos has, well, Plateau State and Jos in particular has played host to events like this from time immemorial. But if I take you back to about 30 years ago, it was in Jos that actually the late Abiola got the presidential mandate to run and nearly coasted to victory, but for the annulment of the June 12th watershed election in 1993 that has shaped the consequence of that, shaped the nation's political trajectory. So yes, Jos for that, and for the fact that is the home state of the Director General of the Presidential Campaign Council, and because Jos is a melting pot of salt. In Jos, in the city of Jos, you find all Nigerians. Nigerians who over the years have turned Jos into a home. In Jos, you find virtually all Nigerians from the southeast, southwest, and of course the natives there who have became literally blended into one citizen, if you like. Apart from, you know, of course there will be differences along the usual segmentation, tribe, religion. So Jos was chosen for these reasons, and because, like I said, it has played host in the past for momentous occasions, one of which, like I listed, is the emergence. It was in Jos that Abiola emerged as the SDP flag bearer in the 1993 election.
And so, it looks like there are so many elements of that particular elections or that particular political season which the APC seems to be appropriating to its own campaigns for 2023. A lot of it, let me give you one. Similarities will include the Muslim ticket. The second one will be the slogan, Hope 93, is still very strongly imprinted in the minds of many Nigerians. Now the campaign of your party, or the slogan, is Hope 2023.
Renewed hope, actually.
Renewed hope.
Yes.
Well, there's hope right there.
Yeah.
So the questions as to, do you see, is this some resurrection of the, will I say, of what happened in 1993? What precisely is the affinity between your candidate and the that of MKO Abiola, who ran in 1993?
Well, apart from the fact that our candidate was among the young foot soldiers at the time, Abiola ran and coasted to victory, nearly coasted to victory, but for the annulment, which has been recognized posthumously that he actually was president-elect at the time, but for the annulment. And now, he was among the young foot soldiers, if you like, at the time, and then learning from Abiola. And Abiola, you can see, even now, like you rightly pointed out, there is striking similarities between the Tinubu Shetima ticket and the Abiola Kingibe ticket. Both of them are Muslims. And incidentally, both of them were from the southwest and the northeast. And 30 years later or thereabout, if you like, there is a resurrection of a similar ticket. Now, if you look at it very well also, is the fact that in more ways than one, Asuwaju has, if you like, an uncanny resemblance with the political trajectory of Abiola, except that this time around, with the support of all Nigerians, Asuwaju is coasting home to victory. From all indication, because he's the candidate to beat. Now, we've seen that the signs are all too clear. You can see from the renewed attack on so many other things.
What I was actually asking is if this was deliberate. I mean, if the choice was like, because he could have run with a different slogan. He could have run with a number of, he could have made different choices. But it does look like there's been a deliberate attempt to actually pick some of the, well, I say element of that particular ticket. That's what I'd like to know. Yeah, well, you see, the thing is, hope is the thing that keeps us alive. I mean, that keeps, without hope, if there is despair. And so I think hope is something that is a lingering theme. It's a theme that would linger till the end of time. So when there is no hope, I mean, you could say it's deliberate, but at the same time, it reminds you of the past, but gives you hope for the future. This is what I'm saying. Well, yes. For many Nigerians, I mean, at that time, since you want to go back to the past a little, there would have been a reason why hope would have been, very appropriate as, well, I say, as a slogan, because then a lot of Nigerians were yearning for civilian rule and, hope was one of the, well, maybe not civilian rule, they were yearning for democracy. Absolutely. And there's a world of difference between civilian rule and a democracy. Absolutely. Perhaps for a number of people, hope would have been appropriate. But we are in a democracy, or we like to think that we are in a democracy. And in this democracy, your party has been at the helm of affairs now for 7 years, thereabout. And so for a number of people, they believe that the 2023 elections is going to be a referendum on how your party has been able to deliver in the last 7 years plus of its stewardship. So they're wondering why hope might, will still be the, will I say, the sing-song here. I do not know if, I mean, since you say it's renewed hope for what, precisely? That they should keep hope alive, that things are not going well? Is it an admission that things are not really going in the trajectory that they ought to be going? Well, certainly things are not going the way they should be. When you're dealing with human beings, when you're dealing with people, you're dealing with other factors, so many factors, some of them outside your control, one of which is that people, you are dealing with human beings. Human beings are not they're not logical people. You don't expect that people will move from point A to point B. In between, it takes a lot of persistence, perseverance between the leaders and the followers to get to that desired destination. So yes, you will say that depending on how you look at it, I am an incurable optimist. Matters of perspective. Some people will see the cup as half full, some will see it as half empty. I am in the tribe of those who see the cup as half full rather than half empty. But going forward from what you've asked, is it the idea of a renewed hope? Is it at the mission of despair, hopelessness? There is no
light at the end of the, well, let me use that cliche, light at the end of the dark tunnel. When you look around, what do you feel as a Nigerian who on a daily basis, interrogate other Nigerians aspiring to lead or to give commentaries on our nation's life in the last couple of years? If you take back from 2015 till date, if you look at it on a scale of 1 to 10, how do you rate the APC? I would say APC has done fairly well. On a scale of 1 to 10, I'll give it somewhere around 7. Why not 8? Because, look, what we envisage, what the APC envisage, given the certain economic realities and even worldwide, Nigeria is not insulated from these vagaries of financial instability worldwide. So many factors have helped to, influence what we have today. The economic, if you like, downturn, which is global, and if you like, even pockets of insecurity, if you like. But then look at the time APC took over in 2015, and now look at that. If you look at it dispassionately, a lot of Nigerians will give the verdict, yes, it has done fairly okay, given what the APC met on ground, given the challenges it faced, and how the APC has managed to navigate this very thorny, if you like, minefield to get to where we are. So I won't say renewed hope. I would say, it's hope rekindled, because depending on how you look at it, I like to say I'm an incurable optimist. I believe strongly that Nigeria may not have been it's not where it should be, but we're not where we were in 2015.
Well, you're a politician, and we've been told that politicians usually are incurable optimists. They see light where most people are not exactly seeing it. But, you say you give your party 7 for what it has done. What it has done and what Nigerians feel are 2 different kettles of fish. And I hope you understand and you can appreciate that. Today, as we speak, we understand that our, what they call that now, the inflation figures released yesterday have gone up to 21, or a little over 21%.
12.5%.
Yes, thereabouts. So if that is currently where we are, from where we were maybe when this government took over, we were certainly not at 20%. It's gone up. If you were to take a look at our exchange rate, even though the official exchange rate has remained somewhat stable, the unofficial exchange rate has, gone through the roof. And we know that we're still an largely import-dependent country. And that has had an effect on the pockets of many Nigerians, of ordinary Nigerians. If you look at our education sector, it was only recently that lecturers went back to classes after almost 10 months of being on strike. And even at that, there is still uncertainty in that area, because lecturers are still saying they are not casual workers. They will not accept the half salaries that they have been paid. So these are some of the things, security, let's not even go there just yet. So there are many, many indices by which Nigerians can measure for themselves, can judge for themselves your effort versus their own experience, because ultimately it is the experience of Nigerians that matter. So from where you stand right now, you are currently campaigning for a new candidate who is asking for the vote of Nigerians, and that will determine whether or not your party will continue in power. There are questions as to, from what you have done so far, can you confidently say that, the lives of Nigerians have been better, given, first, the economic? I know you've said that it is a general downturn, but even that, a lot of Nigerians will take you to task on. But let me first of all see how you respond, and then we can drill down perhaps on the economy.
Sometimes people actually respond, like you said, what they feel. There is a lot of difference between what you feel and what's really, on the ground.
Is it what you feel or what you've experienced?
Yeah, experience, yes. When you look at the economic indices, quite, if you like, they're quite depressing. If you look at especially the Naira exchange rate, and a lot of Nigerians have said, look, the economic management, especially if you want to pass the buck. And I'm not passing the buck here because ultimately the buck stops on the decks of the APC, because the APC came into office on a three-pronged promise, one of which is to fight insecurity, to boost the economy, and then to fight corruption. And then if you look at it right, if you take any of these pledges, how far? 7 years down the road. And then also you have to juxtapose it, like I said, because you can't run away from the past. The past actually has a way of influencing the present and the future. Now, if you look at it, the exchange rate, you can't say the economy, like, you know, it's been, look at the value. I mean, at the time the APC took over, how much, because it's a mono, if you like, mono, what was the economic term now?
Mono economy.
Mono economic. We're largely dependent on oil as our main source of revenue. And then when we look at it, even now, as it were now, because of so many, if you like, glitches, one of which is how vandal. Only recently it was discovered some people have somehow been siphoning Nigeria's oil illegally, and we're not meeting our production quota.
And you saw the furore that created that. We only just discovered that.
Exactly. And that is quite telling, not just on the APC, on all Nigerians, how Nigerians could not be that vigilant. Why? And some of...
No. Let's not put this on all Nigerians. I'm here in Abuja. I don't know where you are. I mean, we've been knowing for we've known for the longest of times that we had oil theft in the Niger Delta.
Exactly.
There are people who are saddled with that responsibility.
Exactly.
And there have been calls for the federal government to exercise its responsibility in that regard and ensure that our pipelines are protected. So if they have neglected their jobs and did not, carry it out as they ought to, then we should, put the blame, squarely where it belongs. You can't put that on all Nigerians.
No, what I mean when Nigerians, sometimes, you see, a while ago, the presidential candidate of the APC, of the PDP, was shown saying, look, security involves all of us, not just one person. It's a government, the people.
Indeed, but it is the responsibility of somebody to
certainly, that's why we have a government.
That's
why we have a government.
Indeed.
Exactly. And see, from what you've said now, if the government wasn't willing, it would have been swept under the carpet. But look at the expose now. Ordinarily, this thing has been going on for years. But why now? Suddenly, because the government is keen in exposing and then ultimately bringing to book the culprits, those who are responsible for that. And since then, they're doing a lot of, like you say, furore, understand? So let's go back to this issue about the economy, which has not really, it could have been perhaps better managed. But you see, you can't insulate an economy that is solely reliant on oil, on a global market that is so unstable. To stabilize an area. The function of the economists will tell you sometimes the value of a nation's currency is largely dependent on production. I'm a pedestrian economist.
Did your party really have a plan for the economy? When it came in, what precisely did it want to do with regards to the economy? And what is it proposing to do now that it thinks is different? And what has it identified that it has not quite done well with regards to the economy? And what is it proposing to do now that, things that Nigerians will be, pay patient enough to renew hope with it?
Well, so many things. So many things. The presidential candidate, like you rightly know, Ahmed Tinubu, has private sector experience and he has also public sector experience. He's bringing that to bear on governance. One of which is that the deployment of public resources will be for such that there will be return in investment. He has done that. We've seen that happen in Lagos. In Lagos, under his watch, Lagos moved from, well, a state that was generating, for example, now if you boost income, sometimes the government has said in the past, like the minister, that the problem of Nigeria is not so much that of, but is that of revenue. And then if you look at how, if you move away from oil, and I think at a point, non-oil revenue at a point surpass that of oil revenue. I'm not trying to recall the Minister of Finance said that at a point. I think when was it? I'm not very conversant with the economy. But let's come back to the candidate now. Someone who has the private sector experience, public sector experience, and then has done what he could to turn a state like Lagos from a low revenue yielding state to a very high revenue yielding state. So if you do that, you apply that at the center, perhaps when you boost revenue, then some of the nation's currency perhaps may be on the rebound, finally. And then look
will it be socially correct to say that Lagos was a low revenue yielding state? Lagos was never a low revenue yielding state. Yes.
When you look at it, in 1999, Lagos were generating 600 million a month. By the time Asuwaju...
If you compare that with what other states were generating, Lagos certainly will not be a low revenue generating state.
Well, at the time Tinubu took over, and at the time he left office, you will say it was. But if you just suppose it with other states, you will say certainly you can't compare Lagos, for example, with Jigawa, because Lagos is the economic hub. If it were a state, Lagos would be, if it were a nation state, people say Lagos would be about the 6th or 5th largest economy on the continent. So you will not say by any stretch of the imagination that Lagos was a low revenue. But what I'm saying, at the time Tinubu took over in 1999, and at the time he left in 2007, he boosted revenue from, well, miserable, if you like, 600 million a month to 7 billion. And that was quite handsome. 7 billion is about the total revenue allocation you grant to most of the nearly 6 northwestern states, and given their population. So you will not say that if you just suppose it was other states, certainly not. But I was saying at the time he took over, that was quite lowly, given what is available in Lagos. It's a port city. Most of the commercial is the commercial nerve center of the whole country. So, and then it has population, it borders the sea, it has so many sources of revenue. So we say that at the time, Lagos was actually the revenue. There was a lot of hemorrhages, a lot of leakages. If you plug that, and if you extend that to the federal to the center, probably you begin to have the required revenue. When people pay revenue, they pay taxes as at when due. Perhaps you can check and then find a way to go around relying on oil as a major source of, as your cash cow. Now, if you look at it, really, I always say, yes, you have to go to back in history, to the antecedents of people jostling for power and at the center. You look at the antecedents, what are they bringing to the table? And more than anything else, Jagaba is bringing, if you like, being a talent hunter. He, in some ways, he's a talent hunter. He's bringing knowledge, because what we have now, if you have a knowledge-driven economy, a knowledge-driven government, perhaps, just perhaps, things may change. And the rest is for those who supervise the process.